Let's keep things simple. There's loads of different names for pensions in the UK and loads of different types. But when we distill it down, really there's two types of pension in the UK. Either defined benefit or defined contribution. So let's just go into what they are. So defined benefit, sometimes known as final salary, but typically these days maybe a career average pension scheme. These are schemes which you get to a certain point, maybe 65, maybe 68, and at that point they will start paying out for you, and they will pay out for the rest of your life, and they're guaranteed for the rest of your life as well. Okay, and if you pass away before your spouse, they may get half of what you were receiving. Okay, so they're great, they're fantastic, and typically if you work in somewhere like the NHS or in the public sector, you're likely to be in a defined benefit scheme. Okay, now the big downside of the defined benefit scheme is actually often it's harder to get your money earlier, and if you want more money in your earlier years of retirement to spend on holidays, cars, days out, it's harder to do that. Okay, compared to a defined contribution pension. So defined contribution pension, so things like Nest or Legal and General offer these types of pensions. What these are is basically a pot of money. Okay, so you put the money in each month through your payslip, and your employer may also put money into this defined contribution scheme. Builds up as a pot in the future, and if the investment performance goes down, say for COVID, then your pension pot goes down as well. Okay, but over the long term you build up that pot, and when it comes to retirement, so maybe kind of from your 60s onwards, you can then choose to take the money from this pot of money as and how you see fit. And there are certain tax rules, but we won't worry about that for this video. Okay, but yeah, lots of kind of benefits with the defined contribution one. However, there is a risk that once the money has been spent, that money is gone. Okay, so the ideal world would be that you would have some money in a defined benefit pension and some money in defined contribution pension. And then if you're in your 50s and 60s, a lot of people have that best of both worlds. If you're maybe kind of under 40, it's likely that unless you work in the public sector, all of your pension pot is going to be in defined contribution pot. Okay, one last thing to remember about the defined contribution pot though is actually once you pass away, most of that will then get passed to your spouse or your family. Okay, so it doesn't actually get lost over the generations if you haven't spent it, unlike the defined benefit scheme, which if you pass away isn't as good usually.